Hey, it's Colin from Takeoff ARC. Well, here it is, the Quaker Old Timer. I was gifted this airplane quite some time ago, probably 2 years now, by somebody I know in the motorcycle industry. I opened up the box and I see original plans, untouched wood, and a project that I think is going to take me a while. There's the original receipt for $32 and business cards. There's the build spec sheet and what's going to come with the kit. Everything was untouched, including the plans, which are slightly yellowed due to age. And then I have everything here laid out on the table, making sure all of the parts are accounted for. I started on the tail section and all the flat parts because I wanted something very easy to start with. This is the first plane I've built since I was probably about 11 years old. I'm 52 now, so just to give you a bit of a timeline there. So I'm being a carpenter by trade and building homes for a living. This is kind of right up my alley, and I just never really had found time to do this sort of stuff until recently. So I've got the fuselage together here. There's a nice little shot looking down the tunnel. I spent quite a bit of time re-gluing the joints that I had already glued together just to make sure that this plane was going to be solidly built. I've got the wing laid out there, and that was a little bit of a challenge because there's quite a bit of dihedral in this wing, and I had to make a jig to actually hold everything. I spent quite a bit of time sanding the edges and rounding everything off so when I go to cover this airplane, it doesn't get torn. There's a shot with the landing gear on. That was another little build that had to get done. It was reinforced quite well underneath that plywood there. I've mounted some servos, and I'm just going to move on to the push rods next. It's a cool little shot. It looks like a bit of a bush plane, but it's actually not. Here we go on to covering. I went with a goldy yellow sort of a covering. It reminds me of an airplane that my dad and I built when I was young. Rubber-powered airplane. It was blue with a yellow wing, and this color was all I had. I think this turned out quite well considering it was my first attempt at covering. I think I threw away a couple pieces in the beginning, but I finally got it, and I was feeling pretty confident, so I moved on to the wing, and that turned out quite well. I did cover the fuselage in what I thought was red, but turned out to be pink. So now we're going to move on to this blue color, and that will be in part 2, along with the rest of the build.